All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're uncovering the fascinating and honestly often totally misunderstood relationship between the world's two absolute biggest bat and ball sports, baseball and cricket. Now, on the surface, they might look like they belong to entirely different sporting universes, but they actually share a deep ancestral DNA. So we're going to break down their histories, their mechanics, and their cultures to understand exactly how these two global giants evolved. To kick things off, we need to immediately tackle a massive misconception. If you're an American baseball fan, you've probably heard the legendary story, right? That Civil War General Abner Doubleday invented baseball in a cow pasture in Cooperstown, New York, back in 1839. It's a fantastic, deeply patriotic story. But as we're going to see, it's completely false. Yep, as our sources reveal, the Doubleday origin story, totally debunked. In reality, it was completely manufactured by the 1905 Mills Commission. See, this commission was put together to investigate the origins of baseball, and they based their massive conclusion on just a single, highly questionable letter from a mining engineer named Abner Graves. Graves claimed he actually saw Doubleday drop the rules, but his whole story was riddled with inconsistencies, and historians today agree it was basically made out of whole cloth. Now, as this research from the Gurukul International Journal brilliantly illustrates, there was a huge underlying motivation for all this. Early baseball executives, specifically Chicago Cubs president Albert Spalding, desperately wanted a purely patriotic American origin story. They basically wanted to officially sever ties and distance the game from its actual British ancestors. And, this created a massive clash of ideas at the time. While Spalding was pushing this American myth, demanding what he literally called patriotism and research, prominent sports writer Henry Chadwick pushed back hard. Chadwick correctly pointed out that baseball didn't just magically appear out of thin air in New York. It actually evolved from centuries-old English bat and ball games, specifically rounders and early forms of cricket. Section 1, Shared Roots, Diverging Paths. Let's look at the true timeline. This timeline right here is just staggering. It shows the first recorded mention of cricket way back in 1598. Think about that. That predates baseball by over 300 years. Cricket was already an internationally organized sport with codified laws by 1744. It wasn't until a full century later, in 1845, that Alexander Curtright established the first formal baseball rules for the New York Knickerbockers, basically adapting those older games into a faster, American style. Because of that incredible head start and its massive spread through the British Empire over the centuries, cricket boasts a jaw-dropping global fan base today. We're talking about roughly 2.5 billion people worldwide. 2.5 billion. It's absolutely massive in places like India, Australia, and the UK. On the flip side, baseball's popularity is much more geographically concentrated. It brings in about 500 million fans globally, largely across the Americas and East Asia. 500 million is still huge, obviously, but it really puts into perspective just how dominant its older cousin, cricket, is on the world stage. Section 2, the diamond versus the oval. Let's look at how these games actually play out. Let's look at a tale of the tape here. The fundamental structures differ right from the jump. Cricket requires 11 players per team and is played on a massive circular or oval field, using a slightly heavier, harder leather ball. Baseball, on the other hand, relies on 9 players navigating the intense, strict geometry of a 90-foot diamond. And while baseball relies heavily on a single pitcher system, cricket actually rotates through multiple bowlers. Notice how the underlying strategy completely shifts based on that field shape. Cricket is quite literally a 360-degree game. A batter can hit the ball in absolutely any direction to score. Baseball, however, is heavily constrained to its foul lines. Think about it. Foul territory eliminates roughly 40% of the potential playing area. That confines the action and requires incredibly rigid, fixed defensive positions. The defensive gameplay mechanics diverge sharply too. In baseball, the ball is usually live. If a fielder catches a ball, they have to immediately and explosively react, throwing it to a base to turn a double play, right? But in cricket, the rules state the ball is deemed dead upon a dismissal. Once you catch it to get the batter out, the play is over. The whole shebang just stops. There's no immediate panic to throw it anywhere else. Section 3, Endurance versus Explosive Power. Moving on to the pacing. The formats of these sports really dictate everything about them. Cricket, especially in its highly revered 5-day test format, is a battle of absolute endurance, extreme patience, and strategic partnerships. It's a real slow burn.
This perfectly contrasts with baseball's 9-inning structure. Even though it can take 3 hours, baseball is considered a fast-paced, high-intensity game of instant gratification and quick reflexes. This quote perfectly captures the scoring divide. Cricket teams score more runs in one match than some baseball teams score in half a season. Why is that? Well, because in cricket, batters aren't actually forced to run if they hit the ball. If they hit a shot they don't love, they just stay safely at their wicket. This means a great batter can literally stay at the crease all day long, racking up massive scores, sometimes in the hundreds for a single player. It absolutely baffles modern American sensibilities. As noted in the academic literature we're looking at here, these structural differences dictate how athletes train. Because cricket requires batting for hours on end or bowling multiple overs, training requires a broad skill set that really balances deep physical and mental endurance. Baseball, on the other hand, prioritizes highly specialized roles. You train for explosive reflex power to maximize your output in short, intense bursts on the diamond. Section 4, Tea Time versus 7th Inning. Let's talk culture. Because the rules of a sport always end up shaping its culture, the vibes here couldn't be more distinct. Cricket's leisurely pace aligns with its colonial-era roots. It emphasizes camaraderie, players wearing formal cricket whites, and yes, actual, officially scheduled tea breaks right in the middle of a professional sporting event. It's this all-day family social affair. Baseball, meanwhile, mirrors the fast-paced, individualized American lifestyle. You've got hot dogs, blaring walk-up music, giant fuzzy mascots, and a heavy, heavy focus on individual statistics and flashy home run celebrations. But sports are always evolving. If you're a baseball fan looking to cross the aisle and understand this global phenomenon, experts highly recommend checking out T20 Cricket. It's a modern, condensed format designed to last about 3 hours. It completely strips away that 5-day endurance test to deliver highly concentrated, explosive entertainment that actually feels incredibly similar to the pacing of a baseball game.
And that leaves us with a fascinating final thought. With both sports evolving to capture modern, shrinking attention spans, cricket inventing the lightning-fast T20 format, and baseball recently implementing strict pitch clocks to speed things up, it begs the question, will these two distant historical cousins eventually start to look like the exact same game? Definitely something to think about next time you hear the crack of a bat, no matter which side of the pond you're on.